Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 1009. Well, today is an FFA episode, and we're going to be speaking with a young lady who is just launching her entrepreneurial career through her supervised agricultural experience in the FFA. And you know, we love to talk about entrepreneurship and small business in agriculture on this show, and we love to profile people at every different stage of the journey. Well, you can't get much earlier in the journey than what Abby Mitchell is doing right now with starting her goat soap business. She is right at the beginning stages. She's getting funding, coming up with the idea, buying initial equipment, and she is a very inspirational young lady. Really appreciates the people around her and has come up with creative ways to fund this new business. Very excited to talk with all of you about that. We're going to get that started for you right now. Abby, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You bet. It is my pleasure. You are about to embark on one of my favorite businesses in ag. It's one of my favorite value-added businesses, so I've got a lot of questions for you coming up. But let's do this. I'd love to start off by just asking you just a few questions about you and let the audience kind of get to know who you are. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do this. You're obviously talking to us from school. I can see you on Zoom, and we'll circle back to that. Let's talk about when you're not at school. Do you live on a farm, or do you live in town, or maybe something in the middle of those two?
Yes, I live on my family's farm. My family bought one. It wasn't passed down to us, and it's 80 acres, and it's in Burgettstown, PA, Pennsylvania.
Okay. So in Pennsylvania, man, such a beautiful spot. What part of the state are you in? Are you closer to Pittsburgh or closer to Philadelphia?
I'm closer to Pittsburgh. We're about like an hour away.
Very cool. Gosh. Well, I've only been in your state a couple times, but it is a very pretty place. But I've never been to Western Pennsylvania, which sounds like you're kind of in that western side.
Yes.
I am looking forward to getting there one of these days. Maybe when COVID is over, I want to go to Pittsburgh and I want to watch a baseball game. So maybe then. Well, very cool. So your family bought this. Has this been do you remember when they bought it, or is this before you, like pre-Abby?
I was pretty young, but I remember us checking out the house, and we had boxes all over the house and everything. It's been, for sure, it was something smaller, and we for sure added to it.
Okay. So what inspired your parents to do this? Why did they want to buy a farm?
I really don't know. My dad was city, and my mom was actually from California State.
Okay.
So they really had no idea, but I guess neither of them have land. So I guess it was just something different, and they wanted us to have a different lifestyle.
They were picturing a different life. No question. Okay. So you said they wanted us. Does us mean you and your parents, or you, your siblings and your parents?
My siblings. I have a brother named Jacob and a sister named Mackenzie.
Okay.
Who's sure inspired me a lot.
Oh, they have. Oh, that's great. I like when that happens. Okay, very cool. So 80 acres, and give us the name of the town in Pennsylvania one more time.
Burgettstown.
Burgettstown. Okay. Now, is it all livestock for you guys there on your 80 acres, or is there some row crop farming going on as well?
We have a lot of goats is our main one, and we have beef cattle, and then we do hay, of course, for them, but we don't have any crops now.
I love it. And that's great. How many times a year do you get to cut and bale hay in Western Pennsylvania?
So we do it in the summer. We have to do it so we do it twice. Okay. We do a first cut and a second cut.
Okay. And is it all grass hay, or do you grow anything else like alfalfa or anything like that?
It's all grass hay.
All grass. Man, that is really cool. I'm excited for you. That's a great way to grow up. Wonderful. Well, I probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is this your second year of FFA now that you're a sophomore?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
My first year, I started off just raising my dairy goats.
Gotcha. Okay. So what brought you into the FFA? Why did you want to join?
I was in 4-H, and I really enjoyed 4-H, and everyone's like, oh, FFA is so much different, and you got to try it. It's so cool. I really didn't believe them at first, but I was like, I got to give it a shot. And it really is. And I'm so glad I did. But I transferred over from Burgettstown School District to Fort Cherry.
Oh, you did. Okay. Now, why did you make that transition?
So I made the transition because Burgettstown didn't have a ag department.
Okay.
So I transferred over to Fort Cherry for their ag department, which is wonderful.
Well, that's great, man. So that was a bigger decision just than whether or not I joined the FFA, because joining the FFA meant transferring away from the school you're supposed to be going to, and then I would assume the students and friends you had from going through middle school and grammar school.
Yeah.
So somebody really convinced you that this was going to be good.
Yeah. I had a lot of people backing me up saying that I had to try this. It'll change your life. And I seriously think it has.
That's awesome. Good for you. Well, I am very excited for you and so happy that worked out. That's a big move. Now, you talked about, was it your sister or your brother or both of them who were inspirations for you?
They both inspire me in different ways. My sister, she's got like fire in her. She shows big bore goats, not my style. Like I had like some health issues, so it really didn't work the best for me.
Okay.
But she told me to try it, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll give it a shot. And then my brother, he has autism, so he's kind of like a step back a little bit, and I always watch him, which he helped me inspire to grow more responsibility, which I'm really glad because I needed that.
That is great. Wow. Now, are they both older than you?
My sister is younger than me. She's 13, and my brother is 18.
Okay. And so did your brother, was he involved in the FFA?
No, he was not. He goes to Tillotson in Whitehall.
Okay. And then how about your sister? Have you now returned the favor and inspired her? Is she going to come and go to Fort Cherry and be part of the FFA as well?
She is so excited. Mom says she has to keep her grades up, and she's never had better grades.
That is good. You know, that is really cool. You hear about students all the time that need to keep their grades up so they can participate in sports or do something like that. But being so motivated to be part of I'll call it a co-curricular academic activity that mom can dangle that carrot out there and say, get your grades up and will allow you to go learn more. And she does it. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Well, good for you. What's that?
She inspires me a lot too, my mom. That
is great. Well, now you're serving as your chapter's chaplain this year?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about getting into that position. How did that happen?
So I wanted to be an officer, but I really have a passion for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And for the role of a chaplain, you kind of work on like the well-being of the chapter and make sure they're all okay.
Okay.
Which is really what I enjoy doing, and I really do care about my chapter.
Okay. Awesome. Good for you. So you had this motivation to be an officer. Obviously you're relatively new compared to the juniors and seniors, and you saw this officer position, and that really sounds like it was a good fit for you.
Yes, it really was. I'm so glad I took it.
And is this something that you want to stick with for the next couple of years, or do you want to try a couple different officer positions as you move forward?
I was thinking about trying some new officer positions because right now, all I do is I'm going to do like reflections when we have events, but I kind of feel like I want to do more.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I know that before we started the interview, I got to meet your FFA advisor here. Do you have more than one or just the one FFA advisor?
I have one FFA advisor who is Jody Hoover, which if you can do the work, she will help you complete it. She is something.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for acknowledging her. We always love to do that on the show. Let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. So there's a lot I want to get to in this. Tell everybody what it is you're doing, or I should say what you're planning on doing.
So what my goal is last year was to raise up Nubians, goats, and then this year I bred them and they just had their kids like the beginning of this month.
Mm-hmm.
So once they're winged off, I'm going to start milking her twice a day, and that milk is going to become a goat milk soap, because in our household, if you want something on the farm, it has to have a reason for there.
Aha, good. I like that. I need to I need you to come give a lesson to my wife and my daughter about that. We wound up with goats on my farm here in Idaho, and that was never anything I intended to do, but my wife and my daughter wanted goats. But it's turned out they are unbelievably useful. I've really enjoyed having them and getting to know that animal and that species. And we have some Nubians, and those are by far the loudest goats we got on this place. Is that the same at your place?
Oh, yeah, that is their personalities. I love them. They're nice and calm sometimes, but then they can be super hyper and wild. They're so cool.
So I want to talk more about this business idea. So your parents, they have beef cattle and they have goats. Now, are all the goats at your farm, are they all dairy goats?
So at my farm, we have borer goats,
Okay.
which is mainly what we have.
Okay.
And they're for market. And I really don't enjoy watching, getting connected to them and watching them leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted dairy goats, and my sister had dairy goats. She had Nigerian dwarfs, and they're kind of smaller, but they didn't have floppy ears. And I'm telling you, that's what I had to have, floppy ears.
Okay. Yeah, that's funny. We raise cattle and goats too, and goats are funny. Some of them have a personality almost like a pet. And so if they're a market animal and they're going to be consumed, it does make that moment a little bit more difficult than it does with cattle sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay, so you found a way around that. You get to connect with goats that aren't necessarily going that direction, and then you came up with this business idea. So how did you come up with the idea of making soap?
So I love crafts, and my friend was showing me about these, how much she loved it and how it actually helped her skin and she felt better and they smelled good.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, that'd be pretty cool if I did that. And so I looked into it, and my mom and I found a few recipes, and we found one for honey. So we were going to get it from one of my people in my chapter, Megan Carter, who's a beekeeper. And then we were going to go on with that. So we kind of looked into it a little bit more, and it just felt right.
Okay. So you looked into it, you kind of looked at the market, and then the more you discovered, the more it felt to you like this is something I'm going to enjoy doing.
Yeah. We bought a bunch of molds that are different kinds and different scents, and each one's going to be different, which I like that because there's no person that's the same.
Sure.
So why should the soap be?
Sure. Well, okay. So speaking of buying the molds, that's one of the ways that I discovered what you're doing. You've just been awarded with an SAE grant, correct?
Yes.
Congratulations. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So was this a $1,000 SAE grant?
It was $500.
$500. Okay. Awesome. And who awarded it to you? Let's give them a little shout.
I believe it was Penn State.
Penn State. That is wonderful. Okay. So how did you find out that this free money to help you build this business and kind of further your supervised agricultural experience, how did you find out that even existed?
Again, my advisor actually told me about it, and she said that it'd be good for me to try. So I took a shot. You could win, you could lose.
Yeah. Well, and when you're trying to start a business, a free $500 is good for you.
For sure.
Okay. Now, was the application, was it difficult? Was it really arduous to do, or did you find it relatively easy since you were already planning to build a business?
I thought it was relatively easy. It was just kind of questions, and you wrote answers about them.
Yeah, that is great. Man, good for you. So will this be something that you continue to apply for from year to year to year to even grow your business even more?
I probably won't apply for the grant again unless I need it, because I want to make sure that other kids have a chance to start up their business too.
Yeah, that is a really nice outlook on that. I've been lucky enough to judge applications for SAE grants from National FFA for a few years. And even though we get more and more grants every year, we always have less grants than we do applicants. So it's very nice of you to share in that respect once you've got your business up and going. Yeah, really cool. Well, so where do you want to take this? Here you are, you're a sophomore. And did I hear you right? You're just kidding your first dairy goats right now, this spring?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got the goats now. You've got the grant. You're building the business. Soon you'll have the product that you can do the value add to. 2 years from now, when you're a senior, where do you want this project to be? Where do you want this business to be?
I would like to have it in stores for people to buy. And I think it'd be really cool to have my kids, the kids from the ones that I raised up, if they would produce milk too. So then I could keep going.
Very cool. Now, are you using a different buck for your dairy goats, or are you just using the same buck that the rest of the family's using for the boars?
So when I got them from the breeder, I paid a stud fee. So it's 4 millions. So it's different than the ones at our house.
Got it. So that means that the does that you have from your current litter or your current stock of does, they're going to be 100% dairy goat as well for your business.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good thinking. I like that. Well, so this is really cool. I love the business. And obviously you've thought well ahead of it. You've already got different molds and shapes, different scents, different things that you want to do. Let me ask you about this. You're right at the beginning stages of starting. I'm assuming this is your first business ever, but am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
So you're right at the beginning stages of starting your very first business ever. Is there anything that was scary to you about it? Anything that you had to overcome to be able to do this?
I was really worried about competition. But then I actually reached out to people that did it, and they were all in to help me. They weren't for the money, which I really thought was great. And that's really what helped me move to keep going with the project, because it's not about the money for me either. I just want my goats to stay at my house.
That is great. Well, Abby, this has been a lot of fun. I want to end with this final question. You're such a, I don't know, I can tell by just speaking with you for this short time that you're really cognizant of the ways other people impact you in a positive way. You're really, I guess, grateful for everything that everybody around you has done to help you kind of get where you're at and do what it is that you're doing. For other students out there, how can they develop that sense of gratefulness, that sense of, man, look at, I'm standing on the shoulders of all these people and look what they've done for me?
You kind of have to take a step back, and you have to look out and realize what from their point of view and think about it. Wow, I can't believe that's what they did for me. You know what I mean? You just have to think about it and realize how important everybody that you see is to you, because everyone in your life will impact you.
Absolutely. Man, I love that part, that aspect of the way you look at things, Abby. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, thank you very much for being here, everybody. And thank you to Abby Mitchell for coming on the Off-Farm Income Podcast today and sharing all of that great information. Hey, please click that subscribe button down there. We would love to have you as one of our subscribers on this YouTube channel. And when you're done with that, head on out to wherever you're at on social media and follow us. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And everybody, as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.